Hello everyone, hi, how are you guys doing today? Welcome back to another episode of a Cowboy Bebop reaction, more specifically, the final episode. This is Haarute, and my name is Matt. Hello. Okay, so, oh my god, we're doing it. This is it. This is the end. Oh lord. I've been watching this show for months now, and like saying goodbye to it is like Cowboy Bebop is weird because it really does make me feel things in ways that other shows haven't. Entirely because I think the direction for a lot of scene is wonderful, and also because I've been taking my time to get through it, and also like trying to understand what it's doing for a lot of its characters, because a lot of it is very nuanced. So I've been having a great time with it, and this is it. I will say immediately right now that I do know there is a movie. I've mentioned it last week, I think. There is a movie. I think the movie isn't chronologically after this. At least that's what I've heard. So then I don't really have to watch it. I also asked around about that, and people told me I don't have to. I do want to watch it though, so I will watch it, but probably not next week. I won't watch it immediately. I'll watch it whenever I have the time, because October is gonna be fucked up for me. So whenever I get the time, I'll get around to watch that movie. But as far as the show goes, this is it. So yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, all right, my final thoughts are going to be after the reaction for the rest of the video, so stay tuned for that. But right now, let's recap last episode. Last week, we got the Real Folk Blues Part 1. That's a great title, because that's the name of the outro song. It's also Part 1. But in that episode, Vicious tried to do a coup on the Syndicate that, quote-unquote, went wrong, and he got incarcerated. The Syndicate then started pursuing everyone who was ever connected to Vicious's faction, which included Spike and Julia. Spike, after hearing where Julia is from this guy who was Lynn's brother, I forgot his name. This guy just told Julia's there, so he went there to try and find her. Faye was there, and she actually ran into Julia herself, and Julia told her, hey, if you see Spike again, which we don't know how she knew that she knew Spike, but let's say that she maybe was trying to find Spike, and she got the information that Spike was working with a bounty hunter called Faye Valentine. So after she told her her name, then she was like, oh, okay, it's you. And she told Faye to tell Spike that she will be waiting at the graveyard, which is a flashback that we saw also that they were planning to escape this life and live freely like a dream. Julia was worried that Spike would die, and Spike was like, don't worry, I'm gonna be fine. But I think then chronologically we see the scene at the very beginning of the show where Spike is waiting at the graveyard, and maybe Julia doesn't show up. And I think she doesn't show up. This is my theory. That because Vicious told her that you have to kill Spike for me or I'm going to kill the both of you. So then Julia maybe couldn't do it. She couldn't go to Spike because Vicious would be like, you're going to kill him, right? And then she doesn't, so then they'll both die. So instead, she's like, well, it's better if we both go on the run separately. The Syndicate was attacking the Bebop, and the Bebop was essentially getting destroyed, which is, it would be a bittersweet, melancholic send-off to the Bebop if the Bebop goes out, because it's a Bebop. We've had that the entire show, and it's the name of the show, right? So it would be like a melancholic like ending that in the final episode the Bebop is destroyed. Like if at the end of The Expanse the Rosinante was destroyed, you know, something like that. But I think they defeated the Syndicate goons, and then Spike went to see Julia, and I like that Jet told him like, go seek what you lost, you know, because he realizes how important she is to Spike. And on the Vicious end, Vicious did a bird trick where the bird was actually a bunch of smoke grenades, and the people that were meant to execute him were actually his men. So then a whole fight ensued within the Syndicate. They freed the Vicious, they gave him a katana, and then he just killed the leader of the Syndicate, and he took over. So that's where we are. My running theory I have, and this is just something that would kind of fit, I feel, is that maybe Vicious, like maybe the Spike Vicious Julia thing was a love triangle, and maybe Vicious was in love with Julia or something, and because Spike had a thing with her, like she ended up choosing him or something, and then Vicious got resentful or spiteful or something. And then he was like, fuck it, I'm gonna kill the both of you. Well, he did give her the choice to kill Spike instead, which would be choose your life over Spike's, you know? It is kind of a petty thing to do, but like, this is just a vibe I get. This would fit. If at the end here, it is about love for the both of them. Anyway, I think we can start. So that's going to be it for this. I will just say, support me on Patreon. Check out the Patreon, link in the description below at the bottom of the screen. I can't offer you the next episode because there won't be another one. You can watch full-length reactions to every single one of the episodes of the show, though. So if you're into that, then you can check that out. Or if you just want to support the channel, because I would really appreciate it. Next week, I don't think I'll be watching anime. I think I'm going to do a double Buffy week. But after that, I'm going to be doing a little bit of anime on the channel. Not gonna lie, I'm gonna be doing anime. Not old anime, more current anime. But yes, that's where the anime is gonna go. Just wait a couple weeks, it'll get there. Anyway, let us begin. So, Cowboy Bebop, episode 26, finale. Let's go. We don't get an intro today. Oh boy.
It was raining that day as well.
So you didn't come because of the rain?
If I had, I would have been free.
I see, but she couldn't do it.
Let's just go away somewhere. Escape. Just the two of us.
Part 2.
He got away.
Can Vicious still or not?
Do not follow in your brother's footsteps.
Ooh. Oh, this is the place! The shop! Oh, she's been shot.
They've all lost their sense of place in the world, like kites without strings or tails. It's cold winds.
There you go. Oh, there's guns here.
You won't need all those weapons if we run away together. You know that. You're staying.
Oh my god.
Then I'll stay too. I'll be with you until the end.
Can't let it go.
He's dealing with his own past. It's his fight.
You told him to go after her.
Hell yes, he was nothing but trouble. And I don't give a damn.
That's not true.
What's Julia like?
The kind of dangerous, beautiful ordinary that you just can't leave alone. Like an angel from the underworld. Or maybe a devil from paradise.
There you go. You've been found. This is not good. Someone's gonna die here, I'm sure. Is she fine? Fuck! I think that's it. From the first episode.
All living things, every being that walks and breathes, each has its own star. When a life is born, a new star appears. And when a life ends, the star falls and disappears.
Don't say that.
His star is about to fall. I have dreamed it.
Ooh.
Do not fear death. Death is always at our side. When we show fear, it jumps at us faster than light. But if we do not show fear, it casts its eye upon us gently, and then guides us into infinity.
Whew. Okay.
He has nowhere to return to now.
No, he doesn't.
He will come.
I feel like he will. He's just gonna go and fight Vicious. He's right there.
You're back.
Do you have anything to eat? I'm really starving.
Oh, he's not doing okay. That smile is not good. Oh, they're eating... Callback to the first episode too. Beef and bell peppers without the beef. I feel like he's just gonna go and die. I have this terrible feeling.
This story once was a tiger-striped cat. This cat died 1,000,000 deaths, revived and lived 1,000,000 lives. And he was owned by various people who he didn't really care for. The cat wasn't afraid to die. Then one day, the cat became a stray cat, which meant he was free. He met a white female cat. and the two of them spent their days together happily. Years passed, and the white cat grew weak and died of old age. The tiger-striped cat cried 1,000,000 times, and then he died too. Except this time, he didn't come back to life. I hate that story. I never liked cats, you know that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Is it for the girl?
She's dead. There's nothing I can do for her now.
Just gonna try to stop him.
Why are you going?
Can't let it go.
You're the one still tied to the past, Spike.
This is true.
Look at my eyes, Faye. One of them is a fake because I lost it in an accident. Since then, I've been seeing the past in one eye and the present in the other. So I thought I could only see patches of reality, never the whole picture. I felt like I was watching a dream I'd never wake up from. Before I knew it, the dream was all over.
My memory finally came back. But nothing good came of it. There was no place for me to return to. This was the only place I could go. And now you're leaving, just like that. Just throw your life away like it was nothing?
I'm not going there to die. I'm going to find out if I'm really alive.
Doesn't care. He's going without fear. Oh, this is the real folk blues. It's a different arrangement too. Oh my god. Oh, he has the badass coat. I really like that scene. They care. Oh. I wish I could get the lyrics to this song. These are different lyrics. Oh god. Fuck.
Shit.
She's gonna help Spike.
Where's Vicious? On the top floor.
She's gonna die. He's dead. Follow in his brother's footsteps.
I was waiting for you to come back and take over.
I could see this being a fight where they take each other out. Okay. Holy shit. Going all out. Getting that fucking room exploded.
So, you're finally awake. I'm the only one who can kill you and set you free.
Those words apply to you as well, Vicious.
Blurry vision. Dagger. Oh. Grace him. Oh. He took the sword. Vicious took the gun.
Let's finish it now. As you wish.
They gave each other weapons. Oh. He got him. But I feel like Spike's wounds are really bad too.
It's all a
Dream.
dream.
Just a dream.
If only.
Bang.
That's it. This song is great. The lighting of the shot too. There it goes. Fuck, damn it. That's all we get. We still have like 4 minutes, so let's keep watching. They did take each other out. It's so cool too. They gave each other's weapons. That's a very Metal Gear Solid moment. I really wish Netflix like gave me subtitles for the lyrics of these songs, the way fans did back in the day. I get this impression that like almost like Spike was bound to life. That's the bad dream, and now that he's dead, he's finally free. Something like that. See you, Space Cowboy. It's weird because I don't really feel that sad. The way they're composing this entire episode really, it's making me feel in a very particular manner. This song is really good. A shining star.
Everything is clearer now.
Then goes out.
Life is just a dream, you know.
What a shot. You're gonna carry that way. No, I don't want to watch fucking Brooklyn Nine-Nine Netflix. Oh my god. What a show. What a show. I'm literally just sitting here thinking about what to say. I mean, what a fucking episode and what a fucking show. God, that was so good. Like, there's a lot of like, it is very interesting to me how this show had the impact that it had. I feel like this show is enjoyable on multiple different levels because I can see a lot of people looking at Spike being like, oh, he's a really cool guy, right? But Spike has a lot of nuance to his character that is not something that necessarily makes him it makes him a great character. It doesn't make him a character that people should like idealize or something, right? But at the same time, there's a lot to respect about him. And more than anything, it makes me think about like what the show is trying to do. I feel like that final line, you're gonna carry that weight. Like I was sitting here thinking about it, like why is that there? What does that mean? And I'll tell you that I have seen that end title, you're gonna carry that weight before, and like on the internet, just being on the internet for years, you'll see that. I just never had any context for it, and I just kind of forgot about it, right? So it hits you right here at the final episode, and I feel like it's gonna be a little bit difficult trying to like understand that, but I think at least my attempt at an interpretation for it is that like the show is just talking to me specifically, like you're gonna carry that weight, you know? In some ways it applies to the characters too, but it is talking to me. Like it applies to Spike specifically because you're gonna carry that weight. It's the fact that like you're carrying the past with you, right? Like Spike, he talked about his eye in this episode, finally confirming it, but you can kind of already tell from before. But he talks about it and he says that his eye sees the past and the other sees the present. And I'm sitting here thinking like, why is that? You know, why is this thing of like my eye sees the past? Like, are we talking literally or not? Or are we talking like his eye maybe is not functional? One of them, I'm not sure, or just it looks weird. It feels different. Like maybe it's not fully functional. In whatever the case is, the idea is that every time when he's just existing, right, he's just looking at things, it's always there as a reminder of this was your past. So it's something he can't really fully move away from entirely, because the reminder is always there. But he tries to move away from it. He tries to run away from it. That was what originally he wanted to do with Julia. But then the whole meeting and we're going to run away together thing was a setup from Vicious in order to kill him, or both of them. And instead, Julia decided not to go with him, as in order to save his life. They can finally reunite. They can finally meet again together. And now that they do, they're going to try to run away together again. But Spike has this moment where he's like, I'm gonna fight. And the thing is that maybe they couldn't have run away. Maybe they couldn't have, because they got ambushed at the shop. So maybe Spike getting ready was just like, whatever, we're gonna fight this. We're gonna fight our way out, you know? But almost like the conversation that they had made me think that Spike couldn't let it go. He was like, we're not gonna run away. We're gonna fight together. Well, we're gonna fight. I'm gonna fight. And Julia was like, I'm gonna stay with you until the end. It's this thing where like Spike's like refusal to let it go almost dragged Julia into this. Maybe they couldn't have escaped, and if they did, then that's even more tragic, because it means that Spike, in some weird way, it is his fault that she's dead, because he refused to run away when maybe they had the time to do so. But maybe they didn't. This is something I can't fully tell. Regardless, Julia dies, and it's like, it's this thing that it is the only thing Spike has cared about in the entire show. And now she just dies right in front of him, immediately after he's finally reunited with her, which is terrible. And something that's interesting, and it's kind of something the show is saying, is the idea that like life is a dream. I'm pretty sure we've had an episode whose like ending title was Life is But a Dream, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't a serious episode, but in this case that is kind of coming back. It's the idea that Julia refers to life as a dream. I'm pretty sure Spike has done it before, And he does so in this episode too. And even with some of the more mystic elements that the show has had, and in this very episode, Jet goes and tries to find Spike talking to the guy who appeared in the first episode. That is, like, we had a bunch of nice callbacks to the first episode and just the show in general, which is really fun. It's like the show knows, the show it's celebrating, it acknowledges its opening, and it acknowledges that it's closing, and that's why it gets me emotionally. Like, the show understands exactly what to do. It succeeds perfectly in making the audience just emotional. Like, there's the callbacks to the bell peppers and beef without the beef, you know, the fact that the food sucks. The guy who told Spike about the woman in the first episode and in this episode, he tells Jet that he has seen death loom over Spike, but at the same time, like, Jet freaks out about it a little bit, and he says, do not fear death, because, like, if you fear death will just get you. But instead, if you just embrace death, if you just go without any fear, then death will just gaze over you in some weird way. I don't exactly remember the words that he said, but that was the kind of meaning that he was going for. And that's exactly what Spike did in this episode. Faye is pointing a gun at him, and it's like, don't fucking go. And she just starts shooting. Not at him, but shooting. And Spike just casually walks away. He doesn't care. He doesn't fear death. And the thing is that he has never feared death in the entire show. The entire show, every time Spike does something, you're sitting here thinking like, man, what the fuck are you doing? And somehow he doesn't die. And it's almost like he has a death wish, and it kind of does. And like at the end here, he finally does get to die, and he dies taking Vicious out with him. And it's weird because, like, yes, Spike dies, and he dies because of his inability to let it go. And in some ways, he maybe never was going to be able to let go because of his eye. Like, that was just something that's always going to be there. But more than that, like, he tried to run away from the life, and somehow he did. And the thing is but the thing that he wanted more than anything was Julia. That's the only thing he cared for. And now that she's gone, what else does he have? And the answer is that he does have the Bebop. He does have Jet, and he does have Faye. And the thing is that that wasn't enough. For Spike, his past is something he can't run away from. So he chooses to go back and face it, knowing full well that he's gonna die. And everyone knows that he's gonna die. And it's interesting because, so this is like a very like cool guy line, but at the same time, it's like, what are we doing here? Is when Faye tells him, like, where would you go there just to die? And Spike is like, I'm not going there to die. I'm going to go there to see if I'm really alive. Like, for Spike, the only thing that really makes him feel alive was really Julia. And now that that's not there anymore, like, that's like the Bebop doesn't matter to him. Like, that's not something that makes him feel alive. And the Syndicate or anywhere is not something that makes him feel alive. And he's thinking like, maybe the only thing that will make me feel alive is if I finally kill my past. Really, the main takeaway to take from this is that my man's fucking depressed. He doesn't care if he lives or dies. He really doesn't. And in this episode, he just straight up goes, fuck it. Like, I don't care if I die. This is the only thing that I can think of that I could do that would make me feel anything. I really like how Faye, and on some level Jet, but mostly Faye, just straight up proved that they care. They really do. Like, Faye talks about like how she doesn't have anywhere to go except here. And now Spike is leaving too, and she doesn't want that to happen. She wants him to stay. And she just starts crying, and it's this thing where like she really cares. They care. She cares. And it's the thing where like it took the entire show to get here, but we finally did. And it's very interesting because it felt satisfactory to see, but also like sad. Because like, you know what's coming. And I'm glad the show just addressed it. I'm glad the show just addressed it, like, Spike is just gonna die. Like, this is something I've been feeling for like many episodes. I'm like, at the end of the show, this motherfucker's gonna die. And the show, in this very episode, they just said he's gonna die at the end. Like, the shaman or the whatever dude that can foresee the future, he just stole Jed. He's gonna die. Like, he's just gonna die. And everyone in the show's talking about, like, how's he's gonna die? And you almost feel like maybe the show is gonna try to, like, subvert your expectations by making him not die. But, like, I never at any point thought that they were gonna do that. I always thought he was gonna die. And it's because the entire vibe of the episode felt very bittersweet and melancholic. the entire episode just felt like, I don't like where this is going. This is going to end badly. And in some ways it did. But then when he finally did die, it wasn't shocking, because of course it wasn't. And it wasn't fully sad. It felt like a release. It felt like, and there he goes. That's it. And I do like the little touch of, well, the cinematic ending credit scene that kind of mirrored Gren's. I wonder, if I go to Jupiter Jazz Part 2, will I be able to see a star going out? No, there's no star going out in Jupiter Jazz Part 2. That would have been a really nice detail, you know? But the idea that life is a dream, that, like, finally Spike is free from it, you know? Like, Spike's life maybe wasn't the best. Like, Spike's life, maybe he didn't have anywhere to go or any place where to belong to. Like, not even the Bebop. He only really had Julia, and now she's gone, so he's gonna go too. Like, maybe that's it. Maybe it's the hope that you'll be reunited with her in whatever comes after life, because life is but a dream after all. That's very interesting. It's a very interesting idea. But what's interesting too is the fact that, like, I don't want to repeat myself, but like I keep going on tangents. But what's really interesting is the idea of, like, again, the episode just straight up tells you at the end you're gonna carry that weight, and it is a weight to Spike for his actions, for his past, and what he has decided to do with that, which is die. It is the weight of Julia's dead, but it's also the weight of the things that he would never be able to accomplish or have because he's dead, right? It is in some way the weight to those who are left behind, Faye and Jed. Maybe at some point Edward will find out that Spike died, and she's gonna be like, oh, like maybe that even. But it is also just to, I mentioned this before, I feel like it's just to the audience. Like, the audience is gonna carry this weight. Like, the entire Cowboy Bebop ride. Like, this is a ride, and it's been fun, and we've gone on fun adventures, and we had some exciting and somewhat sad and melancholic moments, and then at the end, it's the end of the ride. And that just leaves you with this feeling, and you're gonna have to carry that. Like, you're not gonna be able to, like, move past it. Like the show is always gonna be in your memory from now on. And I really like that idea. The idea that, like, now the show has become part of your past, and it's part of the things that you always will remember and think about. Because there's a reason why people really remember the show. There's a reason why people really talk about the show. The show is like 24, 25 years old, almost. There's a reason why people still talk about it to this day. There's a reason why people really care about this characters to this day. Like, I talked about it before, but there's like a fucking pop-up parade figures of, like, Cowboy Bebop characters that just came out like last year, and I really want to get the Edward and Ein one. But like, that shows you that the show is still relevant, and people know about the show, people care about the show, and there's a reason for it. It's because the show doesn't really exit people's memories. It is certainly something that I can see you watching and leaving an impression on you, because it definitely did for me. And I can't imagine what it was like to watch the show on TV in 98 and just getting to this and just sitting there and just thinking about it, just being like, oh my fucking god, like, that's such an amazing thing. I really like that. I really like Spike's character. It is a character that like I don't know where to categorize it. Like, it is in the list of characters that, like, if someone says I want to be like them, that's either someone who doesn't get the character or is a red flag. But if someone says Spike is just a really cool character, like a very interesting character, then like that's it. Like, that's true. That's just a true fact. Spike is just such a fantastic character because of his inability to let go. Like, emotionally and physically, he can't. And that's how his story ends. And that's just how the story ends. And you're just left there sitting, just thinking about it. I really like that. That final showdown was pretty good. I really like how at the final moment, like, Spike had the katana and Vicious had the gun, and they just gave the weapons back to each other, and then Spike shot him and Vicious sliced him, and Spike killed Vicious, but then Spike succumbed to his wounds and died too. And it's weird because, like, I don't think the Syndicate will be disbanded. Like, definitely something will happen to the Syndicate. It won't be what it was before because everyone's dead. Like, to my knowledge, everyone who was, like, important died is just a bunch of goons now. And sure, you can say, like, a goon will take the place and the Syndicate will continue, but, like, does it matter? Like, does it actually matter? The show's done. Because at the end of the day, this is a very personal story. It is a very personal story to these characters, the ideas behind them, and how they execute them. The Cowboy Bebop world is a very interesting world. Because now that we're at the end, I can finally talk about like everything that the world has shown me. And it's very interesting because we have the gates. We learn about their instability. We learn about the accidents and the events that happen as a result, and how like society adapted to it in different planets. Like we learn about all sorts of stuff that are just part of the world in the show. And part of me was thinking that maybe it was all gonna come back in some weird convoluted plot, like a Chekhov's firing squad, like right there at the end. But it didn't. And that's good. That's actually great, because it means that everything that you see in the show is just world building for the sake of world building. You get a really interesting world, and every episode you learn something different, something cool, and that's just kind of it. And like later, when you're gonna think back to the show, you're gonna think about like randomly, you're gonna remember about the gates and how they work. You're gonna randomly remember about like the heavy metal queen. You're gonna remember random characters that you met throughout the time here, and how like what their impact in the world was and what the world was like. And that's really interesting. Like that's just a mark of a good world that the show has built, right? Any story, if you can think about the world and you think about like very specific things that went in it, you're gonna be like, okay, that was a good universe that they built. It was really good. Okay, that final shot that they have, the black and white shot, kind of air sprayed of Spike just dead before the final title card. It's not a title card, the outro card. It's so good. It's such a good shot. It's really impactful. It reminds me of, and I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't like this was inspired by Cowboy Bebop too, of spoilers for Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. It reminds me of the shot that happens in episode 8. And I will say, I actually didn't finish Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. I only watched 8 episodes until this exact moment, where something like this happens right at the end, and you're sitting there like shit. And it makes me think that that was maybe directly inspired by Cowboy Bebop, but this final shot, I really like that shot. It's such a good shot. It just hit me with a wave of emotion when I saw it. It was so good. The fact that Jet cares so much to go and try and look for him and find him, and then Spike came back, the way they were both acting, they had like a buddy moment where they were laughing with each other and stuff, but like both of them knew that Spike was just gonna go and die. So that was the final moment they had together, Jet and Spike. I think this is a great way to do it. Like when you have a show like this, like think about it like realistically, right? Like logically, after this episode is over, you're not gonna get more Cowboy Bebop. So functionally, every character is dead because you're not gonna see them again. But as far as the like emotions that they can hit you right at the end, as well as thematically how this ties in, I think this is a great way to do it. It was really nicely directed and scored. The ideas were there, the themes were there. It was fantastic. I really like that ending. I don't think there could have been a better ending for the show. Like I'm thinking about it, I'm like, maybe I would have wanted to see like Jet and Faye a little bit at the end, but also like maybe not. Maybe that's fine. I mean, that's just all we get. And I think that works well. I think that works fine. Because Spike never saw them again. What should I? Is the idea that Spike gave up so much just to go and die because he couldn't let go. That's just really thematically what the show really goes for. And I'm really glad, I said this last week, but I'm really glad I managed to pick up on that. Like very early on in the show, like halfway through it, I was thinking that like there's this weird thing where like every character is like unable to let go of the past. And I'm really glad that that's what ends up being the final like conflict, the final theme that the show has going for it. And in some ways, Jet has managed to do that, and Faye has managed to do that, but Spike hasn't. So he goes and dies instead. And it's this weird thing where like it enters into this weird like place where like you can see this as like a weird cautionary tale of like you should be able to give up on the past. Sometimes that's wrong. Sometimes it's self-destructive, because it is. But also at the same time, like would have Spike ever been able to be happy if he had just kept on living in the Bebop? Like maybe, but we'll never know. We're just gonna roll with this and carry that weight, the weight of like not knowing what could have been. But then also here's the other thing. We all have our individual lives. This is where I'm starting to weirdly read into things too much, but we all have our own things to take care of, our own past and our own promises for our future. So in some weird way, like, we just got to see Spike's like life. Now we're gonna make our own. And with what we saw, we should keep that in mind whenever we go to ours, right? So yeah, anyone watching this, if you feel like you want to go on a crazy shootout against the mob boss for killing your dead girlfriend, then maybe don't do that, because maybe you'll die. I guess that's the final teaching for this show. Trying to make humor out of this episode, but I think that's gonna be it. I think that's gonna be it for this video. I don't know what else to say. Like, it's just a very dramatic, melancholic story. It's very thematic. It has a great world and a great like ambience that they build, and I'm a big fan of it. Like, I can definitely see how this show made such an impact on people and why it's continued to do so, because it definitely does right out until the ending. I think that's gonna be it here for me. I don't know what else to say. This was just a fantastic episode. I'm very glad I watched the show. I really am. So yeah, that's gonna be it here for me. This is the most dead shit serious like review I've had of a show ever. Like, well, I had a very serious like video with Buffy a couple weeks ago, but like for me, right, this feels like a very, like, I'm not sad, I'm not destroyed, I'm just sitting here like super like thinking about things, thinking about shit. I think that's gonna be it here for me. Thank you so much for tuning in for this video and every other Cowboy Bebop video if you've been here with us the entire time. If you're not, then go back and watch some of the older episodes. They're pretty cool too. Alright, that's gonna be it here for me. Thank you so much, guys. See you next time. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching this episode of Cowboy Bebop. If you'd like to just support the channel, I'm going to be watching Chainsaw Man and maybe watching Bleach and continue to watch Buffy, and at some point I'll watch the Cowboy Bebop movie. Just support the channel, Patreon, subscribe, comments, and all those good stuff, the typical YouTuber stuff. I'm just going to go now. I'm going to go and carry that weight myself. See you guys next time. Take care. Bye bye.